Morning guys, Food Alchemist here, and welcome back to another one of my catch and cooks. Well, today we're in Hawkesbury. We've arrived at the spot, been here probably about half an hour. Just dropped the burley bucket down, let it do its thing. So we'll see what the day holds for us, and I'll check in once we've got a fish. Yeah, we're just coming on our first cone snail. So that's what they look like. And these snails are a delicacy in Vietnamese and Thai cuisine. How you eat them is we chop the tails off and they're simmered in coconut milk, and then you just suck them out from the top. There's a couple more here. They just make for easy picking. I think in this one spot I can get my bag limit. And there isn't a size restriction to these, just common sense. Too small, let them back, let them grow. So that was a refreshing dip, and just gotten my daily quota of the cone snails. I'll give you a closer look at this because the GoPro, I don't believe the quality was that good. So we'll have a look at this camera here. So that's the shape of the cone snail there. Yeah, the snail meat's inside. Before we cook this, just chop the tail, and then as I said earlier, we simmer it in coconut milk, and then you just suck them out from the top and they'll come out quite lovely to eat. Now this, I'm just going to hang it in this bag over the side of the boat for the rest of today, just so they can purge, because they can be a bit sandy and gritty, and I'll bring a bit of seawater and I'll purge them for another day at home before we actually eat them. But I'll check in once we start processing, and I'll show you how we do it. We're back home now, and the next part of the process, as mentioned earlier, is actually chopping the tails off. Now these snails have purged in seawater for over a day now, so they're good to go. I'll just quickly demonstrate how I chop the tails off. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention, I did give them a scrub with the brush, which I didn't want to show you. You already know how that goes. So it starts like this. I use a hammer. There we go. And just get a close up. So that's what it was originally, and the idea of smashing the tail off like that is just so that, because once these cooked, they retract inside. There's no way of getting them out with like a toothpick or any pin of some sort. So this way, it actually acts like a straw. You can suck it out from the top. And the second reason for it is it helps it absorb all the flavors that you're cooking it in, and that would mingle nicely and create a nice infusion of flavors on the snail. So I'll just continue with this, and then we'll go into the kitchen and cook them up. just finished processing the snails. So there's a lovely container of snails with the tails all smashed off. We'll just move on to the kitchen and I'll show you how I cook them up. Okay, and now we're back in the kitchen and it's time to cook. So once again, we've got the snails all chopped and ready. I'll show you the other ingredients that I'm going to be using as well. So these are just strips of lemongrass which I've bashed to release some of the fuel flavors. Some kaffir lime leaves and some crushed garlic and just a few whole chilies, and we'll combine it into a pot with some coconut cream. We'll move along and I'll show you how it's done. So into a pot, I'll just put a bit of oil. Any oil will do. I've got olive oil here, so I'll use olive oil. Just let that heat up. Okay, so the oil's hot now. I'll just add these aromatics in, just to let them fry off a little bit. And the idea of this is so the flavors from all of these aromatics infuse into the oil. Alright, now that these are fried up nicely, the aroma that's coming from it is quite intense. I'll go ahead and add the coconut milk. And I'm just going to let that simmer for a good 10 or so minutes, just so all the aromas from the lemongrass, the kaffir lime leaf, garlic and chili just releases into the coconut milk before we add the snails. Because the snails don't take that long to cook, and I don't want to overcook the snails, but I also want them to infuse with the flavors. Okay. Now that the aromatics have been simmering in this coconut milk for about 10 minutes now, I've actually reduced the heat and I've constantly stirred it so it doesn't burn and stick to the bottom. I'm just going to add just a little bit of salt, not too much, because the snails do have a bit of salt in them, but this is just to add a bit of flavour, a bit of taste to the mixture. And we'll go ahead and put the snails in. There's no extra liquid needed because the snails have a lot of liquid on their own and they release the liquid. I'll bring it back up to the full heat and I'll put the lid on. Now the cooking time for this is probably about 10 minutes. Once it starts to bring up a rolling boil and a lot of steam coming out, the snails should be just on ready. Okay, so that's been simmering now for about more or less 10 minutes. And during this process, I've actually basted it once by just giving it a stir, making sure all those coconut and aromatics infuse with the snails nicely. And it's just about ready. So we'll take it up off the heat and I'll dish it up. Just a few chilies on the top for a garnish, because I also like a visual as well. A couple of those extra kaffir lime leaves. There you have it. Now I'm going to let this sit for about a couple of minutes just to cool down, because I did mention how we eat this is we suck it out of the top of the shell, so I don't want to burn my lips. Okay, so I've let that cool down for a few minutes now, and it's cool to touch, so I think it's time for a taster. So as demonstrated before, this is normally a seafood pick, but there's no way I can actually get that out with this pick, so hence that's why we chop the tail, and we just suck it out the top. That one doesn't want to come out. Right, there we go. And it also has that fingernail lid too. Don't eat that, discard that, because it's very hard. I'll just hold my hand. There we go. That's just snail there. See what it tastes like. Mint. That's quite sensational, guys. The coconut cream has actually infused into it quite nicely, but I'll just make a recommendation. I'll pull out another one just to show you. This particular snail, the gut part is quite gritty, so just eat the meat. And that's quite sensational. Coconut is infused into it nicely. All the aromatics, you can taste the kaffir leaf, the lemongrass, the chilies, and it all complements it so well. And I'll just wash it down with my favourite drink, gin and tonic. So, once again guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe and share, and until the next one, bye for now.
Oh, it's so yum, honey. Oh my God. Yay. And extra coconut.